All right, let's get things rolling. Hey, quick reminder, we've got the first episode of the All Aboard Eau Claire Express podcast now up and at it. Available on your favorite podcasting platforms. Also at sportstalk1051.com. So as pitchers and catchers are getting ready to report here pretty darn soon, we got a couple weeks, or I should say maybe a few weeks at end of the month here. We're going to have our first spring training game. So getting ready for the baseball season with the Eau Claire Express, and we are going to be hosting their official podcast. So you can check out the first episode with GM Sammy up at our website under the podcast tab, or you can find it on Apple, Spotify, and other popular podcasting platforms out there. So let's get rolling here this morning, shall we? Shall we talk a little? Let's talk a little hoops here to open things up. Let's talk a little Bucks, as now the trade deadline is just a couple of days away. Bucks are playing some of their best basketball, though, that they've played since maybe at the beginning part of the season here. Now that Chris Middleton's back and he's been coming off the bench, but he's put together a couple of solid games now coming off the bench. 24 the other night against Miami, 16 against the Clippers last week, 18 against Charlotte as well. 20 minutes in action in each of those games. He's been a nice little boost coming off the bench, right? I gotta imagine he'll still be, back in that starting lineup and such. But Giannis has been doing Giannis things and that sort of thing, and the Bucks have been winners of 7 straight, 9-1 in their last 10, one game out from the Boston Celtics for first place in the Eastern Conference. So, with the trade and now with Kyrie Irving out of the East, what will the Brooklyn Nets look like? I still think they're going to make a move with some of the draft capital that they got in return. But do you think the Bucks should make a move before Thursday? Or are you kind of worried about don't necessarily upset the team chemistry right now? Maybe you don't want to mess with that. Maybe you're thinking this is a good enough squad right now that they can win this whole thing. That they can win the whole kit and caboodle. What do you think? Are they good enough to even to get out of the Eastern Conference? Can they take down Boston with their current roster, with this current ball club? Well, next Tuesday they're going to be going up against Boston in Milwaukee for a little Valentine's Day date against the Celtics. There, that should be a fantastic game. Hopefully, everybody's going to be healthy and kind of see those two rosters and two teams match up at that point. But what do you think? It hasn't really been. I haven't seen too much in terms of rumors out there. The Kyrie one kind of like ooh, that one happened fast. So was it Friday he wanted out? It was reported yesterday he's traded. Sounds like the Suns offered Jay Crowder and Chris Paul as part of a package for him. Nets said no. Lakers, they offered Russell Westbrook as a part of a package. They said no, but they agreed to the Mavericks deal to send Kyrie to Dallas and pair him up with Luka Doncic down there. Obviously, Jay Crowder has been a name that has been always attached as a player that the Bucks have had their eyes on. Are they going to be able to come up with a deal before the deadline on Thursday? I think this Bucks team, they're incredibly talented. I don't think they need, another starter. Maybe they would like to get another 2 guard and maybe move Grayson coming off the bench, that sort of thing. But I don't think they need to make any sort of drastic moves with this ball club. I don't think they got to make anything that's just going to completely alter it. If they can do a similar move to what they did maybe a couple years ago when they brought in a guy like PJ Tucker, bringing in PJ Tucker, obviously, defensive minded player. Once in a while, will give you some points and a good production here, but bring in that defensive mentality, that toughness mentality. Somebody that is going to fit within this locker room, a locker room that we know is, or I think that we assume from everything that we've witnessed and heard and such, is a pretty close locker room, a tight locker room, a fun-loving locker room. I think that's the biggest thing that Bucks general manager John Horst has to do is, if he does make a move, he has to make sure it doesn't necessarily disrupt this locker room. That's my biggest concern. And honestly, we may not know if it does or doesn't until the deal actually happens. You know what I mean? But I don't necessarily think they got to go and trade, like a Bobby Portis or somebody like that would, maybe upset not only the fan base, but maybe some people within that locker room, like a Brook Lopez. I don't think they got to trade him to bring somebody in. If it's like a role player that they could bring in and somehow maybe package some of the guys that aren't getting consistent playing time coming off the bench, maybe like a George Hill, a Jordan Nora, that sort of thing. If they can find that package and get a couple draft picks attached to it, their second rounders, and somehow make a deal to bring in a Jay Crowder or something like that, then yeah, I'd be okay with that. But nothing too extreme I don't think they have to do before Thursday's deadline, especially with how well they have been playing right now. I mean, the Bucks, you kind of look at it, 23-5 overall at home so far this season. And you look at a lot of these teams in the NBA, it's kind of been usually you would expect teams to have a better home record than a away record, but a lot of these are completely just like polar opposites. It's kind of interesting to look at. Besides maybe the Boston Celtics there, but you look at like the Bucks 23-5 at home and just 13-12 on the road. And a lot of the teams are similar to that or even under 500 at this point. So you kind of have to assume that home court advantage is going to be a big time deal this year. You look at Denver, first place in the Western Conference, 25-4 and 12-13 on the road. So let's ask our expert though.
Is that me?
That is you. You got a different color golf hat. White last week, going blue this week.
Oh, I have plenty.
Yeah,
different.
Look at that, man. 2 weeks in a row.
I just want to make you have to look at me on your first morning.
I need a good face to see right away in the mornings, man.
Then you need to bring somebody else in, but I'm here.
Hey, we've been talking Bucks, and obviously they've been playing some darn good hoops as of late. But trade deadline's coming up on Thursday here, JC. Do you think they need to make a move?
I think it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, just shore it up. I don't know if they need to make a blockbuster move. I think you already have that core set with that team. I mean, I don't know if there's anything. I think the Jay Crowder one that's been floated out there since beginning of time. It feels like.
I think before the season even
right,
started.
Exactly. That one seems like it would work and give them some depth coming off the bench or starting if they need to. Because, I mean, Brook Lopez is not the youngest guy in the world. So if you have another guy who can step in, a Crowder, post player, I mean, what is anybody anymore? Everybody's like a hybrid at this point. Yeah. But he's a guy who you can get out there and get minutes and can play defense. So, yeah, I just don't see him needing a big piece.
Yeah, so, I'm the same way. Like, I don't want to, and maybe I'm thinking too much of like the Brewers and such, but I don't necessarily want to have them make a move that's going to disrupt that locker room chemistry too.
And that's one of the things that they've been able to hold together for the last 3 or 4 years, even since the title, the year before the title, is that they've basically had the same group of guys out there. You had a Drew Holiday, and that was huge.
Yeah.
So I think I don't see there being a reason that they need to go out and make the big move. And I know people were like, well, if they did that, then they'd be over the top. But I don't know if there's anybody that would fit in there at this point that would put them over the top.
Right. I agree. I agree. And it might be a move. If it's not a Jay Crowder, it might be a move that maybe we didn't talk about. Like, I don't know too many people who were talking about a PJ Tucker move a couple of years ago.
Right.
Beforehand. There's all these names out there, and maybe it'll be interesting to see if there's any kind of other dominoes falling after the Kyrie Irving trade.
Yeah, I mean, that shakes up things a bit. I mean,
because the Nets are 4th in the Eastern Conference. I can't imagine them not wanting to try to add a piece with KD to finish out this year.
What is amazing is that you're in 4th and they have no problem.
Yeah.
Getting rid of Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you know what? You're somebody else's problem.
Yep.
Goodbye. Maybe and that team might actually improve. I don't know. I mean, Kyrie's a great player. Don't get me wrong. But, man, as a personality, good luck. So, I mean, let's see what Dallas can do with this at this point and see what they can do with him. Because it's at this point, I don't know. He's running out of options. He's getting to the point where he's going to talk himself out of the league.
Yeah,
And,
it's. I mean, how many times have we seen it? We've seen that most. I would say maybe mostly in football.
yeah,
You know, the personnel, Antonio Brown, you know, or a TO or something like
right.
that. But
People will give you a shot, but
Mhm.
they're only gonna. It's gonna be you're gonna be on thin ice that whole time. So maybe
Right.
they'll, him and Luca, something will. It could be magic, but
Yeah.
I have a hard time. He does not want to coexist with anybody else.
Mm-mm.
He couldn't coexist with LeBron.
No.
He didn't want to coexist. He doesn't want to be the second fiddle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? You're in Dallas. You're back. You're gonna Luca's the
Luka's the
king
guy.
of Dallas right now.
Yeah.
No matter who else is around him there, and there's talented players, but it's Luca.
Mm-hmm.
So good luck seeing how this will all play out.
I did like the fact that if we believe, I mean, you know, the reports and the stuff out there is like, even though they're in the West, the Nets did not want to trade him to the Lakers.
Yeah.
You
Did not
know?
want to give him what he wanted.
Right. Or the Phoenix Suns was another team that's apparently like, no. And you look at some of the packages like, oh, wow, that might have been, Russell Westbrook teaming back up with KD would have been something with the Nets there.
If you're the Nets, though, you're like, okay, no, we're not trading one headache.
Yeah. And I got to
another
imagine they
headache.
probably would have asked KD ahead of time. Like,
Right.
hey, would you be okay if Westbrook came? And if he said no, and then it's like, okay, kibosh that one right
Right. Yeah. Westbrook's another player. I mean, who's extremely talented,
Mm-hmm.
but doesn't know when to not fire off and get in trouble.
Look at the Brooklyn Nets of the last couple of years, though. KD, James Harden, and Kyrie.
Yeah.
I mean, they were supposed to like lock, seal, and deliver a championship. And now it's just KD left. And what? They've won one playoff series, I think.
Yeah.
Those three. And I know guys have been in and out, injury-wise and that sort of thing. And obviously Harden was traded last year, but you look at a team like the Bucks, who, their big three is completely different,
Right.
Personality-wise. And they're still consistent right there at the top. I would say even put Boston in that category too.
Boston's had some, obviously some interesting things go on with coaching changes as well, but I've still been able to manage that. But it just shows it's not easy to buy a championship.
Mm-hmm.
You might be able to, I think that first year with LeBron, or the first or second year, whenever they won the title with the Lakers.
Yeah. The COVID year.
Yeah, the COVID year. They brought in a lot of guys to help him around, but I don't think they really bought it. But I mean, the Nets have been trying to buy a title for how many years now? Ever since, basically they moved to Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm. And because they had Paul Pierce, KG, and all that. You remember that group there? And man,
it just, they're not doing it through the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a big issue. And I think the same goes with the Knicks. Has been their biggest issue as well, is that a lot of these teams aren't trying to do it through the draft. They're trying to do it through cultivating, bringing in these free agents, but I think you need to have that core built. Look at Philadelphia. Philadelphia struggled, yes. They don't want to have that struggle. That's what the Nets, they don't want to have that struggle for a couple years and then build a title contender. They want to be right here and now. Well, guess what? If you build it up organically, you have a better shot of it working out, and I think the Bucks are a great example of that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So, with that deadline coming up Thursday, it just feels like, we haven't seen a whole lot of moves besides the Kyrie one. That I feel like now it's maybe going to be that domino. Is that what's good? Because I feel like Brooklyn's going to make a move. I feel like, do other teams in the West now see what Dallas did and be like, okay, maybe we got to make some moves to assume, because Kyrie is a talented player, but like you said, you don't know what to expect from him week in, week out, maybe even day in, day out.
Yeah.
Is he going to say something? Is he going to do something or whatever have you? But now I just wonder if this kind of gets the floodgates to open up a little bit.
Oh, and there'll be stuff going on. I just don't know, like, who's your next biggest guy? Would like Westbrook be the guy who they're trying to move on from just to get some pieces there? But Westbrook's also arguably the third best player on that team.
Mm-hmm.
So do you still need him as depth? Because they don't really have a whole lot of depth there in LA.
No.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Kyrie thing was like, you just look at the news. That was the biggest one out there. That was the biggest fish to land.
And that wasn't even that just popped up on Friday.
Right.
It's like all of a sudden he's just like, hey, he wants out for whatever reasons again. He wants out. And then I was actually surprised it happened within a couple of days. I think maybe the Nets were just like, screw it, we're done with this. Let's move on from it now.
And I think that was a smart move on their part.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there's going to be salary dumps. There's going to be teams that aren't contenders that have, are going to try to, get rid of some salary here before next year and stuff like that. So there'll be moves. It's just, I don't know what your biggest move is going to be after this one.
I agree.
And if something surprising happens where some team just swings something that we weren't expecting.
Mm-hmm. I've seen some people kind of talk on social. Do you keep Middleton coming off the bench right now?
I think until he's ready.
Yeah.
I
think he's still a starter. It's just, when it's been it's keeping it at that 20-minute max, it seems like the last 3 games. And maybe after the All-Star break is when they kind of, because he'll have he's not obviously playing in the All-Star game or anything. So maybe it's like, okay, we're going to do this. Then he gets a little rest and then we go for it. Or maybe it's closer to the postseason.
That's a good question. I mean, I wish we had they gave us a chart of exactly
Right.
what their plan was. But I'm fine with him coming off the bench until he's ready to go as a starter.
It's working right now.
Yeah, right. I mean, exactly. This team looks like a completely different team than they did, 2 weeks ago when they were struggling.
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't have anybody playing, that you're going to struggle a little bit. But man, I mean, we've seen Giannis turn it on to levels that we have never seen him play at.
Doubled his career 50-point games in just a span of 11 games.
Right. And he's out there right now, and he's just daring people to try to stop him. He's hitting his 3-pointers, and when he's hitting his threes, how do you defend him?
Right.
When he's walking up there confident hitting from 3, you can't step out on him, because the second you step out on him, he takes 2 steps and he's to the basket.
Right.
And he's so slippery to get into the inside because of his length. I don't know. I mean, he's at a different spot right now than we've ever seen him, and if he keeps this going, he won't win MVP because he's already got a couple MVPs.
I think it's become too political now, and like the NBA is like, okay, that guy's got a couple, we got to find somebody else.
Yeah. He's putting up 50-point games.
Yeah.
How do you not have him at least he should be in the consideration every year.
Right.
But the way he's been playing, he was the MVP of the end of January for sure. We know that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think what separates him from being that that superstar from a lot of superstars too is like, people know, or I think they know kind of what his game is, what he's, inside and all that. But the guy, I think, my personal feelings, distributes quite a bit more too, gets his other teammates involved. And you look at the Lucas, and they average, 10 assists, 10 assists a game. But I feel like Giannis is one of those rare players too that doesn't just have to get his own. Like, he'll go and drop the 30, 40, the occasional 50, but he's also in tune to like, okay, I got to get my other guys involved here too.
I think that's completely correct, because he could just go and say, I just want to score for me.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to know who I am. I want to be back in this MVP race. But if you hear him talk after every game, he doesn't care. I mean, he's getting his points, but it's the wins or losses. He does not care about the amount of points.
Yeah.
And if he has to take over a game like he's done, sure.
That's why I loved his comment when, I know when it looked like he hurt his knee, everybody's like, what are you doing at the end of the game? Diving in the stands. And I loved his comment after the game. Like, the game was in hand, they got it won, but he felt like, I didn't contest a couple shots earlier, so I wanted to make sure, I was, it's like that mindset. How many other players at that level do you hear at the end of a game when it's already decided?
Right. I think that's his ultimate, competitiveness that he has, and just shows what teammate he is. And I think, he is such a different superstar than we're used to.
Yep.
And I think it's just so great that he's a Milwaukee Buck and should be for the foreseeable future. I mean, that is a guy you want representing your state, your team, and even the league. I think he doesn't get as much, obviously, he doesn't make as much noise in the league as he should. Right. Because he's in Milwaukee. But, man, he is a superstar amongst superstars.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we got to take a quick break here. We're going to talk some more hoops a little bit later on, too. Badgers falling again yesterday to Northwestern. I want to talk a little Pebble Beach Pro-Am with our golfer in-house here, too. Aaron's got another championship, so maybe he can walk off in the sunset now with the championship.
There you go.
In hand. So, go away now, Aaron. Retired on top. Right there. We got that to talk about. Anybody watch the Pro Bowl games yesterday? Did you like them? Did you think they were interesting? Give me your analysis. You can hit us up with a text, tweet, Facebook, all that good stuff there, too. So we'll take that quick break and then be back to already finish up the first hour on this Monday morning. All right, we only got a few minutes to the top of the hour here. So coming up next hour, we'll catch up on some of the local stuff going on. Chat a little football with golf mixed into it. Obviously, big weekend for Mr. Aaron Rodgers and his Vegas odds of going to the Raiders. We'll hit that up. Yeah.
If you could hear my eyes roll out there.
The question I kind of threw out, and maybe it doesn't matter, but it's like you revisit the Favre thing in 08. There was that talk like, okay, obviously not trading him within the division, but not trading him to a team that they were probably going to play. That's why they shipped him off to the Jets.
Yeah.
And Green Bay plays the Raiders this year. So with all that talk, would that be in it, or would it be a little bit more amicable so that doesn't matter? I don't know. But like, if you were a fan, would that matter to you if they traded Rodgers to a team that they would play? Because
the NFL would love it.
Well, that's what I'm like. That would be an early primetime game, and I'd almost feel bad for Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Is
that away or home?
It's away. So at least they would have that, I guess, a little bit. But, the media talk afterwards, especially if, like, Love struggles and Rodgers dominates.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Love.
Yeah.
But we'll hit that up coming up in the next hour. Before that, let's just finish up here talking a little hoops. Badger hoops falling to Northwestern again, 54-52 yesterday. Hey, Purdue did lose too, but you look at what this Badger hoops, 13-10 on the season right now. They got Penn State, which they're tied with in the standings right now in the 10 conference, but it's just it's the same stuff over and over again, isn't it? You had Chucky leading the way with scoring, Connor doing his thing, but no production from Tyler Wall, who only had 5. Stephen Crawl only had about 5 points too. Jordan Davis, you look at his production the last few games, and it's just been nothing coming off the bench here.
Yeah.
It's just maybe this is this. I think this is what this Badger team is, and they're just not maybe that talented right now.
I don't know what is happening. I think the problem is that they can't win with just 2 guys carrying the team. We've seen they need at least 3 or 4 guys. They need to spread it out, and they're just, even like with Connor and Chucky, when you go 11 of 20 or 11 of 29, even if you're the leading scorers, that's a lot of shots there that they both shot 15 and 14, and not a great percentage for either of them. So.
Right.
Yeah, and to lose to Northwestern. Northwestern is playing not bad this year. I mean, 16 is not a bad record.
Right.
But there's just something off that, and they're not getting anything from the bench. I mean, you get 4 points from the bench.
Right.
I don't know. It just seems like what was happening in the beginning of the season has completely disappeared with this team. And they just, you're a jump shooting team. And when you're not hitting the shots, this is what's going to happen. And when the Badgers score, when you only score 52 points, you're not going to win many games. Even in the Dick Bennett era.
Yeah.
Back in the Badgers, 52 points wasn't going to win you too many. So I don't know. There's still time to figure things out here in this last month. And if but you got to start winning these games. You got to get quick, or like I say, they're not going to make the tournament. They're in the bottom half right now of the Big Ten. You can't expect to make the field if you're sitting there. So if you can get back towards the top half, make a run in the Big Ten tournament, you can get in. But I mean, we haven't seen anything to say that this team can do a whole lot right now.
No, not at all. So, as we said, they got that Penn State coming up here in just a couple of days. So,
I mean, the path's there. You got Penn State. That would be a big win. Get it there. Nebraska's next. Nebraska's struggling. Then you got Michigan, Rutgers, Iowa. I mean, if they can get some of those wins and you end with Michigan again. So it's not an easy stretch, but it's a doable stretch if they start playing their best basketball, like they were at the beginning of the Big Ten season. If you can cap it off with a good run at the end, you'll get in. But, man, if they struggle, if they go under 500 in this last stretch, I don't see how you make the tournament this year.
Hey, at least Marquette's still playing well.
Yes, they got one
team to watch. Yeah. At UW Milwaukee.
That's true, the Panthers.
Watch them out. And what a turnaround after just 1 year.
Yep.
With, I know, the Baldwin Jr., ordeal down there, his dad, and then, he didn't play a lot because he was injured in that, but that's been a nice turnaround for UW Milwaukee.
Yeah, it's good to see one of those Horizon League teams kind of start making that movement there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, UW Green Bay men's.
Yeah, they struggle.
Good. Women's team still doing their thing.
Yeah, they're a powerhouse and have been for years upon years now.
Yep, exactly. So, all right. So I tell you what, that shot clock's going to cut us off here. So coming up next hour, we'll hit up some sports nuggets. Then we'll catch up on some local stuff, and then we'll hit up a little football mix with golf on there too. Then we'll get Justice's official Super Bowl pick to put up on the board over there as our kind of Radio Row version, Chippewa Valley version. Kind of kicks off today, I guess, sort of thing. I don't know. Wish I was in Arizona, though. I know you just got back from there.
Hey, was that Roger Goodell who just walked behind us, sir?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Roger!
Well, usually Mondays are a little slow, so it
okay.
might be like the
Roger,
Wednesday.
Come on!
We can have somebody pretend to be Roger. All right, 1 hour in. We have more to go. Stick around. We'll be back in just a couple minutes after these quick news updates. All right, second hour already on this Monday morning. Appreciate you tuning in wherever and however you may be tuning in. We're going to talk a little football and golf here coming up in just a little bit, and maybe with the heat wave that we're supposed to get this week, maybe get you thinking a little golf there, JC.
Oh, I don't want to because I know it's going to be a long time before I'm out there.
I know.
Even the backyard's got a lot of snow before I can start chipping away back there.
Just pretend it's a bunker. That's what I used to do.
I don't want to be in misery for the whole time I'm trying to do it.
That's what I used to do in high school when there was a little snow. I'm like, okay, I'm going to work on bunker shots, and it was the snow in there.
Maybe I should really go out. And I should have been doing that all winter, honestly.
So we're going to talk a little bit of football with that golf because of the Aaron Rodgers, should we just call it stuff? I don't know what else to kind of really talk, call it from this past weekend. So we'll hit that up. We'll catch up on some of the local stuff, too, with Mr. JC and EC. Before that, though, we got a quick phone call here from the retired Hall of Famer, Mr. G-Man. What's going on, G-Man? How you doing?
That sounds Hall of Fame impressive, dude. Just hearing those words coming out.
What are you doing up so early on your, you're retired now, man?
I have to tell you, Mr. 100th jersey, I'm looking at it right now in my possession. It's on a wood hanger, Regis High School number 27, the number I wore, class of 1980, running back for Regis.
That kid that you ripped it off of must be really mad he doesn't have his jersey right now. Did you catch him?
No, I can't catch nobody because that's way back in the day.
Oh, I know.
So you got a custom Regis jersey with your 27 on there?
Yeah, it showed up about an hour after you left. My really good friend from grade school, high school, we played football together, and he said, we have something for you. Oh, and I do have in my possession jersey number 100 on a wood hanger, and that is what I want to tell you.
Wow, that is really awesome.
That is cool.
Dude, that's awesome. You got to hang that one up there, big guy, or wear it too,
Captain JC, there's no way that would touch the ground or get any dirt on it or ever.
No.
You can double your 401k on that.
I love it.
Like JR says, you can't make this stuff up.
You can't make it up, man. How did Friday night end up finishing up for you?
Oh, my gosh.
Can you remember
what you got me when I left you and JC last week, that's already half gone. And what Surveyor got me, that's already half gone. And Philly fan Dave, he gave me something that he's only given out 7 years ago. I have exactly what he's wearing, a Wisconsin State Patrol patch.
Oh, wow.
What an awesome gift.
Wow. That's awesome from Philly fan. So Philly fan Dave showed up Friday too for you?
Yep. And I got a Nike 58-degree fan wedge that I don't have. And my good friend got me that from us left-handers who are out there. Who always are in the same.
Look at
well, you better get out there in the backyard and start practicing with it.
Exactly.
You got that, JC.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations again, G-Man.
Yeah, it was one fun time. And thank you for coming, and thank you for everybody. And Captain, now, you have listeners who listen right now who have never met G-Man in person. So one of the listeners who was down there always comes in. He says, yeah, I'll call my friends right now. Within 20 minutes, they came down and we got a photo of the one and only MVP G-Man, and they know exactly what I'm talking about because they're listening right now.
Look at that.
That is awesome.
Celebrity.
The number ones. That's what we should next year for the Volume 1 local celebrity. We got to nominate G-Man.
Yeah,
yep, exactly. That's what we're doing next year.
Oh, that would be so awesome if we could do that.
We will. I will personally nominate you, so we'll put that up there. We're good. We could take down Bob or Chris Cruzy or Justin Vernon or something like that. Whoever it is, I think a dog won it last year. The Altoona PD dog.
That's right.
Yeah, something like that.
You got some tough competition.
Yeah, we'll get you, man. We got you.
Yep, you're gonna make it happen because I know you're the best. That's why I listen to the number one show in the Chip Valley, your show, the Dan Kasper Show.
That a boy. I appreciate. You going out for breakfast this morning?
Sure, I'm going to meet my friend there, so you know where I'm going.
Oh, I do. Good old VFW, right? So,
yep.
That a boy. Well, all right, G-Man, we'll let you go and enjoy that breakfast, and we'll talk soon, okay, bud?
All right, you guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you later.
You got it. There you go. There's the G-Man hopping off there. Oh, yeah. Good time Friday at the Do Dodge.
Good.
For a little
Good.
bit there. A
Good
lot of
for
people showed up for him. So
27 years, he deserves it.
Exactly. Let's catch up on some local stuff here quick
Okay.
while we do it. Kind of start off with Blue Gold basketball. Kind of a rough weekend a little bit for Blue Gold basketball.
Yeah, for the Blue Gold's women's team, was first place in the WIAC. 3 straight losses now after they lose to Whitewater. So kind of a little bit of a, I don't want to say mid-season struggle because we're getting towards the end, but it's been a tough stretch for them. And obviously Whitewater, who they played, was also right up there at the top too. So let's see. I mean, they got enough the depth. I think that team will be fine and can turn it around. But yeah, I think it's just been one of those little lulls that you don't like to see, but teams have found a way in the last 3 games to beat them. So they'll come back. We'll see what they can do this week. The men's team also struggled against Whitewater at home. Made a big comeback after falling behind, but them too is just kind of you're getting towards the end of the season. Let's see if they can turn it around, get that push as the conference tournament starts to loom here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I was gonna say because we only got a game or 2 left in the regular season. For
it's
hoops,
coming up here. Yeah, I was looking at it last week. So yeah, we get and then hockey struggled at River Falls there on Friday night. So.
Was a men's team lost in overtime, I think, on Saturday
as well. Yeah. So that's a tough one for them because they came into the weekend only 3 points behind Stevens Point for the conference lead. But they knew I talked to Matt Lone on Wednesday or Thursday last week, and he said you can say what you want about River Falls looking at their record, but going to play at the Hunt, that's a tough place to play. Yeah. And they found out there, what happened there. River Falls, it's a tough team despite the record. So still plenty of time here. I'll come back the last couple games here and then get ready for the conference tournament and try to make a push because it's an automatic bid now. So they got that on the men's side has the automatic bid where the women's don't have because they still don't have enough teams in the conference there. So the women were off this week and then they'll take on St. Scholastica coming up this week.
Okay. Gotcha. So, yeah, I'm looking at the schedule here for basketball. 3 more games. It looks like Platteville, Stevens Point, and Stout. That Stout one at the end of the season might be
that could be big. Really big. So on the women's side, especially because that could be for the conference. So seeing how things play out here in the next 3 games. So yeah, there's a lot of big games to be played.
Absolutely, keep an eye out for that. High school side of things, we. I saw that this might be a few days old, but Memorial Hockey, you were there checking them out against, was it North?
Yes, Eau Claire North. They played
city rival
very, very well. Memorial coming off a loss to New Richmond the last weekend, and then had a kind of a rough start against a Rice Lake team that earlier in the week, then kind of got that going. But against North, Memorial just came out just skating fast and looking good. And that's not to discount a North team that had a lot of, like every team's been battling illness, so didn't have their full complement of players. And a couple games before that had beaten Chippewa Falls on the road at Chippewa Falls. So, yeah, as we get closer, I still think that sectional is just going to be wild because every one of those teams can beat the other team. So it's going to be just throw Hudson in the mix there. Chippewa Falls, obviously, in the state. So, yeah, once those playoffs start, look out. I want to give a lot of compliments to that new Richmond team. Number 1, they should be the number 1 team in D2, and they're the favorites to win the Division II title because the way they played, beating Memorial and coming off later in the leading Hudson.
Yeah,
they're very impressive. So in my mind, they've got to be the favorites to win the D2 title.
Yeah, I think we kind of chatted a little bit about it last week, but maybe surprising some teams. You think of hockey there, so you think of the Memorial North and those teams, and then you got New Richmond this year.
Yeah,
just kind of the talk of the conference.
The team that plays with a chip on their shoulder. I think then that's the way they're scrappy. They're very physical, and I think it's going to bode well come tournament time for them.
Right. Yeah, because Memorial and New Richmond earned both top seeds in the men's hockey tournament. So that's getting there. Can't believe it. So that's why we got to talk about golf coming up here a little bit because we're wrapping up the winter prep season.
It's getting closer.
Although I hate to say it, but we're going to be due for a couple of snowstorms coming up here. I'm just saying.
No, I know. I never. This is a year for some reason. I just feel like it's going to be a long winter. I don't want it to be, but I just have that feel that this is going to be one of those winters where.
Okay, Puxatony, Phil.
Yeah. Wow. I'd love it. I'd love to be out there in the course in like a month and a half, and end of March, which has happened before, but I just don't have that feel that it's happened. So
I want to talk a little girls basketball here a little bit too, but just on the edge of our listenership here, but Neilsville girls team with the win over McDonald Central, improving to 20-0 too. So shout out to them over there. But
Geyer's teams there in Neilsville have been good.
Seems like they're every couple of years they're at state. It seems like almost.
I mean, when I first got here in the 2010, I mean, they made a run of, I think it was 3 years in a row that they were there, and they've been just at Clover Belt East. It's Neilsville's been up near the top, if not on the top, most of the time when I've been here. And this is just another year there of, that talent being there in Neilsville, and that's a big one over McDonald. Two teams that are more than likely meet again when they do the crossover.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Coming up, I believe they will.
Yeah, Clover Belt has that. Yep.
Yeah, we'll see, but that and don't discount that McDonald team. I mean, that's a team that's going to be real tough and has a good chance of going to state as well. But yeah, Neilsville, impressive for them, very impressive.
Yeah. Some other girls' games from over the week. I know we had. Was it did Memorial beat Chippewa? Was that
that was on Friday?
On Friday, yeah.
Yep. Oh no, that was North Chippewa.
You're right. North. Yep. North 59, Chippewa 39. So Memorial was over Rice Lake. So,
yes, which is not an easy win for them. Memorial's been, is a very talented team too as well. And yeah, Big Rivers is just as interesting as any conferences you're going to have. Clover Belt men's, not boys, with that Fall Creek McDonald.
Fall Creek over Regis on Friday.
Yes,
big time,
a big time rivalry game. But
yeah,
Fall Creek, McDonald, and Bloomer, the top three teams in that conference are. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for them.
Yeah, 90-58, Fall Creek over
Fall
Regis.
Creek. With Bull Volrath and that team, that's a talented team. Storley's got a good one over there, and I'll see how it translates once you get to the playoffs. But they're playing well in the Clover Belt, and when you play teams like McDonald and Bloomer in conference play, and Regis, don't discount Regis. I saw Regis take Bloomer to the limit there a couple weeks ago. So yeah, all those teams in that conference play tough.
Right, and then maybe Independence of Levis Strom just getting by with the 1-point game there too. So starting to wrap up things here.
We really are. I mean, we're next week, Valentine's Day, the Tuesday. That's when the playoffs start for hockey.
Holy moly!
So we're there.
Yeah,
we're there it's going to get full swing.
I like it. I love it. I want some more of it.
Oh, wow.
I like that.
Yeah. Pay some royalties now.
In honor of the Grammys last night. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch any of it. So if anybody is wondering about some of the match for hockey here, Memorial's got that for bye. They will host, Tomah Sparta or Rapids, Wisconsin Rapids. And then Ashland Co-op's at Chippewa Falls. Chippewa Falls got a 5 seed. Merrill Co-op at Hudson, who's a 4. Superior's a 3 seed. Yeah, you're right. That Division 1.
Yeah,
it's just
you could
right there.
All those, like the Hudson, Chippewa Falls, and North. I mean, the separation between those teams is not a whole lot.
No.
So they're all going to end up, there's a good chance a lot of those, so you get Hudson and Chippewa Falls could meet in the second round.
Right.
And then in the next one would be Memorial versus I'm not going to say I want to say clinch a win already, but there's going to be a chance that you're going to have Memorial playing Chippewa or Hudson in the sectional semifinals.
Then in Division 2 sectional 3, I mean, you've got River Falls at Ram.
Right. And Ram just beat River Falls a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. And then Somerset Co-ops at Baldwin Woodville, St. Croix Central in the 6-3. Menominey's 2 seed, so well represented.
I'm going to put it out there. New Richmond's the team to beat. I think they really are. The fact that they are going out and being state-ranked D1 teams.
Right.
And see what they can do. But you never discount Rice Lake when it comes to D2.
When it comes to postseason stuff,
right,
too.
Exactly. Those teams tend to make a run. So it'll be fun. I think it's going to be playoff hockey is one of the best athletics you're going to see. So
I agree. All right. You got time to talk a little bit more? Or
we can we can go a little bit more.
Okay. Okay. So I do want to talk a little football and golf with you.
Sounds
good.
Bit.
So we'll take a quick break. And then coming up, we got a few more minutes here. Is it going to work? Screen's taking a little bit of a Monday break here, too. Come on. There you go. All right. Quick break. We'll have more with JC and EC coming up in just a couple minutes. Bloomer Tony with quick text. Morning, Dan and JC. My studs of the weekend are the Bloomer Shark swim team. Very successful conference meet. My kids brought home 10 gold medals participating in 15 total events. So proud of them and all their teammates on their success, with many swimmers qualifying for the state meet in Green Bay. That's a good one there.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Congrats.
10 gold. Gonna have to put some more room on the shelf there, Bloomer Tony. Display those over there. Man, oh man, the only gold medals I got were from reading in middle, like elementary school, like the accelerated reader or whatever.
I got the only ones.
Fake gold.
Any gold I had was wrapped in foil with chocolate in the middle.
I think a couple of my JV golf medals are like just bronze, so I don't count those as gold on there. So one of them was a 7th place one, I think, too. I'll take it. It was at Lakeland in Minocqua, Timber Ridge.
Okay, I got a Waitman's relay for track and field.
Nice
at the relay meet.
The one meet I'm still upset about because I sucked at track and field. The only reason I did it was to get a 3-sport award in 8th grade. It was the only sport available for actually boys when I was in school was track. That was the only one you could do. And I hate track, but I did it because I wanted a 3-sport award. And I sucked at it, but it was the Metford invite, and we actually finished in 8th. And you're supposed to get a ribbon. But our athletic director didn't order them. So I was really upset that the one time I actually did okay at, didn't get a ribbon.
Didn't get the ribbon. I'll get you one of these days.
Thank you. Just go to the party store and get the 8th place one or something like that for $1.
Yeah.
50-50. That's not around anymore though.
Oh, somewhere else.
Dollar
store.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk a little golf here. So Aaron Rodgers did get a championship this weekend as he won with Ben Silverman, the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Justice and I were trying to figure out how this thing all worked with
the scoring,
and because they got the 4th round that they're finishing up with the pros yet today, but we won't deep dive into that. It can get a little complicating into the woods there. So
no math on a Monday.
Yeah, exactly. But Rodgers and his partner Ben Silverman did win, and I think they don't get any money. I don't think. I think I saw they get like a name on their wall and obviously the glass trophy.
I mean, it's a huge honor if you're an amateur golf to
right.
do it. I don't know if anybody remembers. There was making a cut, which was about Ray Romano, Kevin James trying to make the cut.
Yeah.
At that, so they want to. I mean, if you're an amateur golfer, you want to make that cut and get a chance. And for Rodgers, who apparently didn't start playing golf again until this week, comes out there and is able to get the win. That's.
I did like how he caught himself in one of the interviews. I don't know if you saw it, but he said something about playing in the season, or I don't play in the season or something. Like he kind of caught himself there, but we all know that he doesn't have time to. He's not a Favre. That's probably going out there during the season and playing a little golf.
And plus, the season's pretty short by the time he gets to Green Bay.
Yeah.
He's got like a month or two, and then the rest of it would be. Well, I mean, that Kohler simulator is like right there.
Right. That's yeah. Come on now. Or go down to little Milwaukee and that Am Van Field with their golf thing there too.
I mean,
so
there's opportunity, especially when you're Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean Mason's a pretty good golfer from what I see. Mason Crosby.
Aren't all kickers?
They should
because it's like the aim motions
you
involved.
Think with the wind and all that,
slicing it and knowing how to play it.
The little draw.
Do things with the ball that I could not just hitting it.
There's some of those kickers when they're kicking it and I see it how it like goes. I'm like, that's got to be a golfer.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, that's a miss, and then it just curves on in.
Play a little slice here, a little draw.
Exactly. But the big thing with Pebble Beach and with golf is that you get a lot of fans there.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron, after I think was it the 2nd round, said that obviously I'm paraphrasing, but a lot of Raider fans chanting for him to go to the Raiders and telling him that, Devontae misses him. So Devontae had some fun with it while he was at the Pro Bowl games, if that's what we're calling it now. Tweeting. Were they tweeting during the Pro Bowl games too?
Yes, yes, they were, because I believe it was Tyreek Hill or somebody got leveled.
Yeah,
and then tweeted out during the game about
Jalen Ramsey should be ejected or something like that. So, but yeah, it was like Devontae was tweeting during it too or something. Anyways, but
I mean, why not?
Right? Yeah, exactly. But Devontae having fun with it, saying that he's house shopping for Aaron because Aaron told a fan tell Devontae to buy me a house and all that And Devontae yesterday saying, he would 100% support, tell management, go get Aaron Rodgers and that. But the one thing that's not really kind of going out on Twitter and social media is Devontae also saying he's all-pro team troll. So he will have some fun with it and, that sort of thing. But, and it's like, oh, you got fans chanting, go to the Raiders. You have Rodgers saying there's a lot of Raiders fans. You have Devontae. So Vegas odds have now switched that Rodgers is going to the Raiders.
Not the Jets?
Not the Jets anymore.
Did the Raiders specifically hire any coordinators to try to lure
Scott Turner from Washington? I don't know if there's a connection there.
Yeah.
I did see somebody on Reddit posted that Josh McDaniels is telling people that they expect to have Aaron Rodgers next year. So, take it for it's Reddit. So, just
I don't believe any of this stuff until any of it happens, and nothing's going to happen until after the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So my question is, Packers play the Raiders in 2023. It's in Vegas. Do you think the Packers would trade Aaron Rodgers if it comes to that? And I think the narrative is switching here a little bit where it shouldn't be, because Ian Rappaport kind of casually mentioned it, and Pat McAfee, he was on Pat McAfee's show the other day, and Pat's like, well, that's breaking news. That's big news if you're saying it this way, where Ian said, and Ian kind of downplayed, he's like, I don't think it is, but Ian said, if Aaron Rodgers wants to play for the Packers, he believes the Packers will want Aaron Rodgers back.
Right. I believe that too.
And Pat's like, whoa. But I think that's because the narrative is getting so switched around or twisted around that it's becoming a belief that if Aaron plays, it's not going to be in Green Bay.
I don't understand why would that even be the case? He's under contract for the Packers.
It would have to be a Packers decision, not an Aaron decision, if he's going to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, in essence, like,
no, I think if Aaron Rodgers wants to play for the Packers, it's fine.
Yeah.
I think, and if the Packers want him, yes, the Packers control it in a way that they could say we can trade you,
right?
But I don't see. Gutekunst does not want to pull the Ted Thompson here, and be the guy who trades Aaron Rodgers. Unless Aaron Rodgers wants to be gone, that would be the
which then
thing.
It just kind of like, then why sign that contract last year,
right?
And say, yes, I'm retiring as a like, what changed, with that whole thing?
The fact that the media can just talk about it, and it's the national media always has an idea where a player should be. Why should Aaron Rodgers be in Green Bay when the narrative would be more interesting of him being
elsewhere?
Yeah. New York, biggest media market. Oh, that's huge. Las Vegas, what a story. Him and Devontae reunited.
Yeah.
But him staying in Green Bay, that's a boring story.
Right.
That was the same with Giannis. That was the boring story of Giannis just staying in. That doesn't get you clicks.
Right.
What gets you clicks is saying that Giannis is going to go play with Golden State
or the Lakers.
Yeah. So I still think he's a Packer next year. I'm going to stick by that no matter what goes on in the offseason, because we saw a lot of chatter seasons before.
Right.
And he was still in Green Bay.
Right.
Most of the chatter's been playful this offseason.
Yeah. And I can't think of another athlete, like you mentioned, who's under contract.
Yeah.
For a couple years. Yet we're still for another year talking about, like, he's like, talking, even Aaron's kind of, I think he's having fun with it.
Right.
And
wouldn't
call
it
it for.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
I was going to say, wouldn't it be tampering if Josh McDaniels telling
that's what
other teams that Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Raider?
Right.
Now, it's from Reddit, so I don't know how much you can even
exactly
go from it there. But yeah, like there's so many things that could be on the table here if that's how it was going. So.
And so the one question I kind of threw out there, if you're a fan, would it matter to you? Let's say that Aaron's going to get traded. Let's say he's playing, and let's just say either the Packers want to trade him or whatever. Would it matter to you who they traded him to? Like, it's, we can go to what Schefter said a couple weeks ago, say it's not going to be in the NFC. And Aaron already said, I'm not playing for San Fran, in his first tee off. And then,
he was never going to play for San Fran.
Right, yeah.
Because he would have got drafted in day one. That was the only... Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it's probably fair to assume, okay, maybe not NFC. But would it matter to you if he's traded to a team that Green Bay would play the upcoming year, which they play the Raiders?
Right.
Does that matter to you, or are you of the mindset, I don't care, I just want best deal possible? because let's face it, if he is traded to the Raiders, I think we would all agree that's probably going to be an early season primetime game. And is that necessarily fair to like Jordan Love? Like, can you imagine week 1? It's Packers at Raiders. Jordan Love's first start. I know second career, but first start as the new main guy. You got to go up against Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
And
it's going to be a prime
media is going to have
game.
a field day with that. And if he plays poorly, he's going to get unfair criticism.
Right. I don't know. I don't see if them doing that. I mean, if you can control where he's going to go to, why would you do that? But brings trucks backed up to you, and they offer enough.
Yeah.
I just wonder what the offers are out there. That I mean, there's got to be number 1 picks being thrown about.
Got to be.
But I just find it funny that this is where, just because Devontae Adams tweeted one thing last week.
And he liked a tweet. I think he said, or there was somebody out there that he liked a tweet. I don't know what it was about or anything like that either, but it's...
Of course, if you're Devontae Adams, you would take Aaron Rodgers. Right. But like the deals...
I guarantee you, Devontae's not talking if Derek Carr's still his quarterback either.
Right.
You know?
Like the deals being thrown out there, like the Raiders would send Derek Carr, Renfro...
God, yeah. Darren Waller and all that.
It's still like, I if you have a quarterback, you keep that quarterback. Unless you don't think you're going to be competitive next year, which I don't think that's what the Packers' mindset is. I think they feel like they're going to be more competitive next year than they were this year.
With the growth of their wide receivers?
Yeah. Why would you downgrade a quarterback then?
And the other thing I was thinking about this weekend was, you look at the Eagles, yes, they're in the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts, but it wasn't that long ago that they were looking for a different quarterback. Even before this season, they were rumored to be in on Watson, Aaron Rodgers the year prior, Russell Wilson. They were rumored in on all those guys.
Right.
So I honestly believe the Jalen Hurts play this year surprised them too. I think it actually was pleasantly surprised them how well he played.
We saw quarterbacks make a kind of a leap. You can go with Daniel Jones and for the Giants, playing much better there. Tua.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, off the field, he got injured a lot. But when Tua was on the field, he was being mentioned as an MVP candidate for a lot of that. So guys are going to make that leap. But there's a lot of bad quarterbacks out there.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, if you're the Packers, as much as you have faith in Jordan Love, you keep Rodgers. And if Rodgers gets hurt, as we saw with San Francisco, at least you have Jordan Love there.
Right.
And I don't care if you're paying him a lot of money. I think backups in the NFL should be making a lot. The number 2 quarterbacks should be making at least a good amount of money, because more than likely you're seeing the field.
And I wonder how much we've seen it the last couple of years, but even like this offseason with what happened with San Fran, does that backup quarterback market increase?
Right. It should.
Yeah.
I mean, every team should have you should be looking to have a guy who started games as your backup.
Yep.
Because there's a good chance they're playing and getting significant snaps. So.
Exactly. So, all right, you got to get going. So I'm going to ask you for your official Super Bowl pick. I'll give you a quick update. Nobody has picked the Eagles so far.
Oh, not until now.
Oh, really?
I'm going
the first
Eagles.
one. How about that?
I go Eagles. Do I need a score?
No, you don't need a score.
Okay, I'm going Eagles.
Okay. Why are you going Eagles?
I feel like everybody's going Chiefs. I got to be the contrarian and go Eagles and think that they have a chance. I mean, that offense can move the ball.
Yeah.
Chiefs haven't really been able to stop the ball as that great of a defense. It could be. I'm going. I think it's in the 30s, both teams.
I agree.
It's like over 60 points, over under kind of thing. So, yeah, I think the Eagles. It just seems like maybe it's just their year.
Yeah, Steve Spagnuolo still coordinating defenses too.
Yeah.
He's. I was going to say, is he Andy Reid's Dom Capers to Mike McCarthy, but actually Steve Spagnuolo is going to Super Bowls and that.
Yeah, so it's hard to discount what they've been doing there.
Exactly.
And the Chiefs are a good team. And then the Chiefs win, I'm not surprised either.
Right.
I'm just thinking maybe this is just the year. This is the Eagles' year.
This is really 16-3 overall record for both teams, 546 points scored for both teams. Both teams had 6 All-Pros. Both were each conference's number 1 seed.
Offensively, they're almost they're similar in a way, whereas the Chiefs, I think, spread the ball, and Andy Reid likes to throw and do the screens, whereas the Eagles like to run the ball, but they have multi-weapons and just good guys that can do those jobs. Both good. The coaching-wise, both have been well coached this year, so it's going to be hopefully a fun one. That's a nice
I agree.
nail biter.
Get a little high scoring nail biter.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, JC, appreciate it, buddy.
No problem.
Thanks for stopping in. We're going to take a quick break and then finish up that second hour. But we'll open it up now. If you want to make your Super Bowl predictions, you can text, tweet, Facebook them. We'll put them on the big board. Might have to put Philly fan Dave underneath JC. I think I know who he's already picking.
I would hope so.
All right, big thanks again to our good buddy, Justice Cleveland, sports director extraordinaire, WEAU 13 News, for stopping in, joining us every Monday morning there. Coming up next hour, just past 8 o'clock, we'll do our studs and duds from the week. So if you want to play along with us, you can send over your studs and duds at 715-830-1912 with a quick text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line over there. Let's do some sports nuggets of the day. Didn't get to that just past 7 o'clock, so we'll catch up to that right. Nuggets of the day brought to you by Yancey Associates. 1921, the New York Yankees issued a press release to announce the purchase of 10 acres of property in the West Bronx. The land was used for Yankee Stadium numero 1. 1926, the National Football League adopted a rule that made players ineligible for competition until their college class graduated. 1932, dog sled racing happened for the first time in Olympic competition. 1958, Ted Williams signed a contract with the Boston Red Sox that was worth $135,000. The contract made him the highest paid player in Major League history. 1970, the NBA expanded to 18 teams for the 1970-71 season. The new teams that were added were Buffalo, Cleveland, Houston, Portland. Brett Hall, 1990, and his father, Bobby Hall, just passed away, became the only father-son combination in NFL history to score 50 goals in a season. 2005, the New England Patriots defeated the Philadelphia Eagles 24-21 in the Super Bowl. Andy Reid, T.O., Donovan McNabb Eagles. And we know about that Patriots team. Brady and Belichick. So those are just some of your sports nuggets for this morning. Anybody watch the Pro Bowl games? Anybody want to give any analysis on it? I didn't watch it. I saw some of the stuff on social media. I wasn't watching it. But your thoughts, if you did, I'm curious. I'm curious if anybody watched it. I want to get your thoughts on it. Did you like new setup? You're like, whatever. Still poo-poo. That sort of thing. I'm curious to kind of get some of your thoughts out there. Okay, let's do a little motivational Monday. My motivational Monday for this Monday of February 6th is pretty easy. How can you not be motivated by this Milwaukee Bucks team right now? 7 wins in a row, 9-1 in their last 10. They've now moved to just a game behind Boston in the Eastern Conference standings. Chris Middleton looks like he's turning back into Chris Middleton. Bucks have been playing it safe and being cautious with his minutes, still coming off the bench. The other day, this past Saturday, 20 minutes of action, 24 points. Easily his best game since returning back from that knee injury. Giannis is doing Giannis things. I mean, how can you not be motivated and pumped up about this Bucks team for potentially maybe another championship this summer? Now, we'll see if the Bucks make a move by the trade deadline on Thursday. But right now, in the first hour, I was asking the question, is this a Bucks team that you think right now good enough to win the East? I think if you've got a healthy Giannis and you've got a Drew Holiday and you've got a Chris Middleton with role players like a Brook Lopez, you betcha. As long as you've got Giannis and those guys contributing and healthy, I do think 100% you can get out of the East. And you can win an NBA championship. Now, does that necessarily mean I don't want to make a move? No. Maybe fortify it a little bit. Maybe you can get some more depth. And, for guys who aren't getting a lot of minutes off the bench, like a George Hill or maybe a Jordan Nora consistently, if you can package those guys with a couple of second-round picks and bring in a guy like a Crowder or somebody that instantly gives you some minutes off the bench, maybe improves your defense, or maybe you bring in another shooter. As long as it's a player that doesn't mess up with that chemistry and that camaraderie within the team right now. But I think we're going to see some more moves. I'm really curious to see what the Nets do, because I feel like the Nets, after trading Kyrie Irving and some of that draft capital that they got, they're going to make a move to try to bring in a player or players to pair up with KD. I just don't know who. Like, you're the fourth team in the Eastern Conference. Who are you going to bring in that you can pair up with KD? Do you look at maybe the Bulls with like a DeMar DeRozan or something like that, or Zach LaVine? Do you look somewhere else? Because like I'm talking like a proven player, like who can be like a proven running mate to KD. And I don't know. I don't know if that guy's out there, if that guy's even available. But I think they're going to try to find somebody or a couple guys, a couple players out there. But no, how can you not get motivated by this Bucks team right now for how well they're playing? 7 wins in a row. Sweeping their homestand that they just had. When kind of looking at Bucks currently hold the longest win streak active right now, the longest win streak right now. The next closest looks to be, well, you got a few teams that have got 2 wins in a row there. So, but this will be an interesting week for the Bucks starting tonight, going up against Portland. They've got a little West Coast trip here. So Portland is right on the outside looking in of the postseason. If the postseason were to start today, right on the outside looking into the Western Conference, they'd be the 11th seed. They're 26 and 27. The Jazz holding on to that 10th seed right now at 27 and 27. Then the Bucks have that game against the Lakers. Lakers are just 25 and 29. But maybe we'll get a little history in that game. LeBron breaking a scoring record. And then the Clippers on Friday in a rematch. Clippers currently the 4th seed in the Western Conference. Bucks just beat them in that come-from-behind victory a few nights ago. Then Bucks return home for a Valentine's Day date with the Boston Celtics. Quick trip down south to Chicago on the 16th for a game, and then the All-Star break. A little rest and relaxation. I'll be curious to see what exactly is the Bucks' plan for Middleton. Like, are they going to continue bringing him off the bench, maybe up until the All-Star break, and then the first game after the All-Star break's February 24th? Do they put him back in? Is the plan is to keep him on that minutes restriction, trying to play it safe, maybe until they get to the postseason? Like, hey, they're winning right now, so don't really necessarily have to change up too much, I wouldn't think. But I still think Middleton's a starter. It's just whatever the Bucks are doing right now in terms of a plan for Middleton, it's working. Not only for Middleton, but it's working for the Bucks too. I don't think he's going to be coming off the bench for the rest of the season or in the postseason. But after they come back from that All-Star break, the 24th, you got a couple games to finish up the month of February, the whole month of March, and then just a few in April, and then we're already in the postseason. We're already in the postseason there. And I'm trying not to look too far ahead. But after that All-Star break, you've got a road game or a home game against Miami, home game against Phoenix, road against Brooklyn, Orlando, Philly, Washington, Orlando, Brooklyn, Golden State. You only play Boston 2 more times this year, including the 14th. And they're both in Milwaukee, it looks like. Yeah. So they only play Boston 2 more times, and they're both in Milwaukee. The last one looks to be March. Can I read that far? March 30th. Got a big schedule in the studio, so I'm trying to squint and read it there. I still think the Bucks make a move before Thursday. I don't think it'll be a big move. I think their only move that they're going to make, I think somehow they're going to be able to come up with a package to acquire Crowder. And I think that'll be the only move they make. Maybe the Bucks will be involved in that buyout market afterwards too. Where teams buy out the remaining contracts of some of their players and become free agents and such. I think the Bucks will be active in that. We've seen them kind of do that a couple times over the years. Remember, was it Marvin Williams, Paul Gasol? So I think maybe the Bucks they'll make a move, but then kind of look at that buyout market and bring somebody in that way. Because if they do trade for a guy like Crowder, and it includes a couple players, they'll have an open roster spot at that point too. So, just my thoughts. But let me throw it back to you all, Bucks fans. Do you want the Bucks to make a move, or do you want them to stand pat? Like, don't mess with the thing that's going right now. Looks like they got a good groove going. Don't mess with it. Give me your thoughts on that, okay? So far, it's about, I'd say 60-40. 60-40 in terms of fans wanting the Bucks to make a move. But all of you kind of saying nothing too big, just a role player. Just kind of summing it all up right now. And I'd agree with that. I would agree with that. I'm okay with that. All right, we got a couple minutes to the top. So coming up next hour, we'll do some studs and duds. Again, if you want to play along, you can hit us up with your studs and duds. We'll do a little press pass, and you can play along with that too. If there was a question that you can ask anybody in the sports world and get a 110% truthful answer, what would that question be? What would that question be? If you want to play along with us, have a little fun, you can send yours on over too. We'll hit that up, and then we'll get back to maybe a little bit more football talk now that Super Bowl week is here. But the question I kind of threw out to all of you, would you, if Aaron Rodgers does get traded, would it matter to you if he gets traded to a team that the Packers play this upcoming season? And obviously, I'm focusing on the Raiders because the Packers are scheduled to play the Raiders in Las Vegas this year. Or does that not matter to you? Like, I don't care. Whatever the best package is, whatever the best deal is. That's all I want. And, I know the thought of Aaron playing with Devontae is probably appealing to Aaron, but at the same time, look at that division too with the AFC West now. We thought the AFC West was going to be fantastic this year and kind of underperformed a little bit. You did have the 1 seed with the Chiefs, and they're in the Super Bowl, and the Chargers made the postseason too. But obviously with Denver, underperforming. Raiders, underperformed. Now Denver's got Sean Payton as their head coach. You would expect an improvement over there. Raiders, it's a big old question mark right now. I mean, how attractive would that be for Aaron? Yeah, he's got Devontae, but heck, their defense, Raiders defense, wasn't that great last year for crying out loud. And playing in that division, whew. Yeah, you'd get Aaron versus, finally would maybe get an Aaron versus Patrick Mahomes game. Get it a couple times in the season. Then you get Aaron versus Russell Wilson a couple times. I mean, there's thoughts out there that Aaron's not a big fan of Russell Wilson, so you get that trauma added to it a little bit. But think about it for a little bit. Let me know. Hit me up with a text or find me on Twitter at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. So curious to get your thoughts on that. Obviously, we know it's not going to be within the division and such. So throw that one out of there. But it also kind of goes along with the Schefter thing from a couple weeks ago where he said it's not going to be in the NFC. Does that matter to you? Or not really? Like, I don't care if it's the NFC. I don't care if it's the 49ers. I don't care if it's to name another Tampa Bay. I don't care. I just want the best deal. I want the best package. Who cares where he gets shipped off to? All right, 2 hours in. We got one more to go. We'll kick off the third and final hour with your studs and duds, or I guess my studs and duds. And if you want to play along, we'll get to your studs and duds too. All right, quick news updates. We'll be back after these words. All right, here we go. Final hour kicking off on this Monday morning. Dan Kasper Show's on the air. Appreciate you tuning in. However, wherever you may be tuning in, if it's on the radio dials, that's 105.1 FM, 798 online, where you can stream it at sportstalk1051.com. Got your Alexa and Google devices, and of course the video stream up and rolling on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Coming up here in just a little bit, we'll get to Press Pass Monday. We'll hit that up. We'll get back to some more hoops talk here. What's your studs and duds for the weekend? I'll get to mine here in just a second, but for the rest of you can play along by hitting me up with a quick text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. So, kind of a quick update on, I don't know, would you like, for the Aaron Rodgers thing, does it matter to you where he's traded? And about 60%, I'd say about 60% of you saying 65%, somewhere around there. Again, I'm just kind of not going to sit up and add every one of them, but I'd say about between 60 and 65 saying, it don't matter. It don't matter. Just get the best package possible. I would, within, obviously I don't want him going to Minnesota or anything like that, or Detroit, but I don't think I necessarily care if he gets traded. I'm going to get to this here in a little bit deeper dive here in a second or in a minute, but if he gets traded, I don't necessarily care if it's to like the Raiders. If it's the best package out there, that's all I would care about. So, but we'll hit that up here in a minute. Let's first do studs and duds to kick off the third hour. All right, so studs and duds time. I got a few of you picking the same one, studs. So a lot of you just kind of saying it's Super Bowl week. That's your stud there. So a lot of you kind of thinking the same thing. It looks like. My stud. Now I didn't get to. A couple of you did chime in and say you liked the flag football game for the Pro Bowl games, and that was your studs there. That you thought it was entertaining. So I did not get to watch it, but I'm glad. Some of you are giving me some of your feedback there because I saw some of the clips on there. I didn't watch it, so I'm generally curious on what everybody kind of thought or thought about what the new look Pro Bowl games were like. So if you are one of them, you're just joining us, let's kind of throw out there like, give me your thoughts, give me your analysis on it. Was it good? Do you like the shakeup, that sort of thing? Some of you said that you kind of thought that it was good. So, all right. Well, keep those coming. All right. My studs, I'm sticking with, I mean, winners of 7 in a row for crying out loud. You got Chris Middleton, who's playing well right now. Giannis is doing his thing. My studs right now are the Milwaukee Bucks. When you look at this past week, 7 wins in a row, 9 in their last 10. I mean, come on. I know they were my motivational Monday pick here too, but it's hard to not pick the Bucks as studs for this past week because that's exactly what they have been. They have been absolute studs. My duds, going on the flip side, Badger Hoops. Again, Badger Hoops. They escaped with a victory against Ohio State a few nights ago. Lose to Northwestern. It's just it's not just one thing. It's a few things with this team. And what can we say that hasn't been said already with this Badger basketball team? You look at it, you got Chucky and Connor scoring 32 of the team's 52 points. They were the only Badgers in double figure scoring. No bench production again. Like just a total of 4 points. Jordan Davis playing 14 minutes, 0 for 2, 0 points. Tyler Wall only scored 5. Stu Kroll only scored 5. I mean, it's not enough talent on this team. Was it a flash in the pan sort of thing at the beginning of the year? They got up to what, 14th ranked in the country. They made that comeback against Kansas at around the Thanksgiving in their holiday tournament thing. But then it's like it felt like as soon as they got into like Big Ten play, just kind of like poo-pooed after that. Yeah, they squeaked by Minnesota, then they lost to Illinois, which kind of sparked all this whole thing. Lost to Michigan State, lost to Indiana, beat Penn State, lost to Northwestern, lost to Maryland, lost to Illinois, beat Ohio State, lost to Northwestern again. I mean, they can win. They better win these next two for sure against Penn State and Nebraska. They're tied up with Penn State in overall record, 5-7 in conference play. Excuse me, in conference records, not overall records. And then Nebraska's behind them in conference records. You better win these next two. Ain't looking good. And as we already mentioned a little bit earlier, too, at least Marquette's playing well. They got another W. They got a big one coming up against UConn, 24th ranked UConn. Still kind of eyeing up that February 15th game. Marquette and Xavier. That could be for the Big East title there. But duds, Badger Hoops team. 13-9 overall this season. Ain't looking too good on their prospects of getting into the national tournament. So, did I miss this? I want to know if I missed this day in history. Let me double check it. Let me double check. February 6th. Yeah, okay. So I missed this day in history. Or missed this as part of our sports nuggets of the day. It was this day, February 6th, 2011. Packers beat the Steelers in Super Bowl 45. So let me ask you all, do you remember what you were doing? Where you were watching? Do you remember that day? How'd you celebrate it? What'd you do? Did you have a Super Bowl party? I want to know. Go back. 12 years already now? Is that where we're at? Yeah. 12 years ago? Holy moly. What do you remember about that day? I could tell you from the morning I got up all the way till probably the couple days afterwards, because I went to return to Titletown after that too. But I forgot that one. I missed that one for our sports nuggets of the day. All right, so 12 years ago it was Super Bowl 45. Do you remember that day? What were you doing? Got any good stories? I'm looking for some good stories from anybody if anybody's got them. So hit me up with that. All right, I want to do a little press pass here. I just want to jump into press pass here quick. So I'm going to go back to the Rodgers thing here, and I don't want to constantly bang on this topic sort of thing, but the question that I would ask Rodgers this, because I think the narrative is kind of getting flipped around here a little bit, because it feels like if Rodgers playing, he's going to be playing somewhere else. Like, it just feels like that it's that narrative is going out there now. It's like, okay, it's either retirement or playing with a different team. But I want to ask Rodgers this. If you want to play, and I don't want to hear the whole, well, it takes two sides. Straight up, if you want to play, Aaron, is your first choice Green Bay? I want to know that. If I could ask him one question, that's what I would ask him, and I want the one, and I know I'm going to get 110% truthful answer. Is your first choice, if you want to play, Green Bay? Because this whole thing has started with, well, it takes two sides. Like, nobody, and I kind of blame Goody. I guess I would ask Goody maybe the same question here too, but it's always been, well, it takes two sides. Well, Aaron's got to take his time. Yeah, I've got to decide whether I want to play her first. And, do they want to go younger? Do they, are they going to do this? Stop talking around and avoiding the questions and just straight up say, hey, if I play, my first choice is Green Bay. And if I'm Aaron, if you throw that out there, if that's truthful, and if you throw that out there, it does put pressure back on Green Bay. It puts the pressure on Green Bay. And maybe he doesn't want to do that because maybe he doesn't want to do that to Green Bay. Maybe he doesn't want to put that pressure on Jordan Love. Maybe he doesn't want to create that type of environment. Let's remember, he went through it. He went through it in 08. Maybe he doesn't want to create that type of thing for Jordan Love where, Rodgers was getting booed at family night or booed during practice in training camp. So maybe part of his thought process is, you know what, I'm not going to come out and say it because I don't want to put maybe some, put something on Jordan Love where fans kind of take it out on him because that's what they did with Aaron. And I would respect that. But if I had that question where maybe I could just hey, we're on a course or something, golf course, and we're just, shooting the, what, and I could just straight up, hey, is your first choice if you're playing Green Bay, yes or no? Because I think a lot of it is this, talking around and kind of avoiding the questions is what's really sparking a lot of this. Oh, he's going to go for the Raiders. I don't know if there's necessarily smoke there. I think it's just a lot of people having fun with it. And I think he's one of them who's enjoying it. I think he's one who's enjoying the trolling of it. Devontae's already admitted, hey, I'm an all-pro team, all-team troll guy on Twitter. So don't take my tweets too serious. This is the thing, too, with social media and with Twitter. It has changed how we view or talk about or try, it's changed narratives out there so much. Could you imagine in 08 with the Favre thing in Twitter? I mean, I don't know. It would have been kind of probably a similar mess at that point, but I could go about it different ways. Again, I feel like if he just come out and say, hey, my first choice is Green Bay if I want to play, it would kind of, quiet some of these media storms out there. But at the same time, maybe he doesn't want to do that and put the, maybe he doesn't want to put pressure on Green Bay. It would put pressure on Green Bay. Maybe he doesn't want to do that. And maybe he doesn't want to do that Jordan Love. Remember, Aaron did say he's the villain. And he said a couple weeks ago. So, I don't know, but that's my press pass. So, all right, we're starting to take your Super Bowl picks. If you're ready to make them, you can send those babies on over now. We'll put them up on the big board here. So far, the advantage is with the Chiefs. That's where the majority of you all are going right now. But if you are ready to make your Super Bowl picks, tweet them at me at DANKASPER, or hit me up on Facebook, or hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. All right, hit me up with a couple of those. We'll take a quick break here. Bucks fans, do you want this team to make a trade or not by Thursday? Do you think they need to make a trade by Thursday? Or do you think this team is good enough, how it's currently constructed, to win another NBA championship? Do you think they're good enough right now to win it all? Or do you want them to maybe go and get a Jay Crowder? Or maybe you got your eyes on a different player out there? And if you want them to make a move, do you think it needs to be like a move for another starter? Or just like a role player type of, guy coming off the bench? Well, updates on where everybody's kind of voting on that. But first, take a quick break. We'll hit up more hoops talk after these quick words. All right, we got some good answers here for what you were doing 12 years ago when the Packers on this date hoisted the Lombardi Trophy, Super Bowl 45. Texter, I remember it so vividly. My firstborn was just 7 days old and was sleeping in the room where we were watching the game, and we had to be quiet. It was so hard. I was completely freaking out. Charles Woodson is a stud. I love Surveyor Sam's memory here. I was bartending at Pudge's Bar in Hudson, Wisconsin, and I remember that the bar had 3 customers because our owner refused to run any drink specials. As soon as the final whistle sounded, I ran out in the middle of the street and witnessed what I felt like was the entire city outside hugging, celebrating, and flipping off the other side of the river. Best part was working with a Vikings fan and watching him pout the rest of the night while I had the biggest grin on my face. Also made great tips after the game because the entire town was out bar hopping. That is fantastic. That is so awesome. That's the one thing I kind of wish that I was like in college still. I graduated college summer of '09. I kind of wish I was still in college when that went down because I don't know. I felt like maybe I would have been a little bit more rambunctious at that point. We had a little party. I was working in Rapids at the time, so we had a little party at my house. Had a few friends over and such. And I just remember being the whole day a nervous Nelly, anxious, excited, jacked up, didn't know what to really expect. And I remember the 2 weeks leading up to it was, just like, oh, it's the radio was going, I just remember like listening to stuff on the radio and all the talk leading up to it because in Super Bowl 31, I was what 10, 11 years, somewhere around there. What you didn't have social media and such, and I don't remember a whole lot, you know, all the coverage like it is now or what it was just 12 years ago. But, going to the stores and, seeing all the memorabilia or the swag that you can buy. Like I just remember loading up on a bunch of Super Bowl 45 memorabilia leading up to it and after it, of course, too. But I remember like when Tremont Williams batted the ball down, I just fell to the ground. I was pumped. And then going to return to Titletown, which I think was I was freezing, but it was also one of the worst. It was me and my buddies. Me, Jake, Sean, and Goody. It was one of the worst times of trying to get out of Lambeau Field because I think it was so packed. And I remember watching the return in Super Bowl 31 on TV when I got home from school one day, and that just looked insane too with the buses and that. But the return to Titletown event at Lambeau Field, leaving that was such a total mess. It took forever. I swear it took longer to get out of that thing than leaving a game. And then we stopped. I think it was at Arby's or somewhere, and that place was packed. I mean, it ended up being a whole day and whole night affair there. It took forever. But yeah, I know I asked the question, might have been a few weeks ago, like, depending on your age, which Super Bowl kind of like resonates with you more? Like, I was able to experience obviously 31 and 45, but 45 might be that one just because, I'm a little older and I was able to, partake in an adult beverage and that sort of thing. So, but I kind of wish I still was maybe in college just a little bit and not having the job responsibilities the next day. I should have taken the day off the next day. I don't know what I was thinking, but anyways, I didn't have a lot of vacation time then. So, good. I love that Surveyor Sam story. That's a fantastic one. The other one too about your son being 7 days old too. That's pretty fantastic. I remember earlier in that year when Green Bay was like 2-2, I think it was. Yeah, were they 2-2 or 3-3? And somebody had asked me when I was going to get married and such. And I said when Green Bay wins the Super Bowl. Well, they ended up winning it that year. So there you go. Rest is history. So, good times. I want to experience it again, though, man. I want to get back to the bowl. I want to experience another Super Bowl win for crying out loud. I don't want to go Some fans haven't experienced it at all, but man, I want to do it again. All right. Keep your stories coming, though. All right. You all got one, so let's hear it. Send those babies on over, okay? Maybe I'll post it up on Twitter and Facebook and such. So let's go with let's talk subs now. All right. Bucks. Do you want them to make a move by the deadline or not? Do you think they need to make a move by the deadline or not? 7 wins in a row right now. 9-1 in their last 10. Can make the case they are the hottest team in the NBA. Do they need to make a move? Or can they win the whole thing with this current roster? I got to tell you, the Kyrie thing changes things up a little bit in the Eastern Conference. I mean, he's a great player. We all know that. But we also know you don't know really what you're going to get with him. Like, you know, I know the reports are saying he's happy to be in Dallas. He's ecstatic in that. But how long is that going to last, you know? And then, you know, with him leaving Brooklyn, that's a hit in talent-wise. I feel like the Nets are going to want to try to bring in another guy to be KD's running mate. I mean, I don't think it can be Ben Simmons. But who's out there? Who's out there that they can acquire to be that running mate? You know, which a playoff team isn't going to trade one of their top players right now. And we looked at it last week, and you got a lot of teams that are still in contention for a postseason spot. Or is it a team like the Bulls that, okay, yeah, they're maybe just inside the playoff chase or maybe just outside, but, you know, obviously down from last year. Do they move on from a DeMar DeRozan or a Zach LaVine or somebody like that? Possibly, I guess, but it changes things up a little bit in the Eastern Conference because you take away what talent-wise one of the better players off of a team that was, you know, going to be a competition to come through the East. I think the Bucks have a team right now that can win the whole thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't think that they shouldn't make a move. I don't think they need to make a big splash move. First of all, I don't think they have the assets to do so. But I think there's just with the return of what Chris Middleton has been able to provide with this team, not only just because of his scoring and what he brings on the court, but just the mindset, the emotional factor of like, all right, we got our guy back. We got one of our best players back. And they're winning these games with him coming off the bench and only playing 20 minutes right now. Giannis, it seems like he's like, it's hard to say that he could take it to another level, but it's like ever since Giannis has come back with Middleton, you know, look at it, he's like, dude is just playing lights out right now too. I think they got a team that's talented enough to win it all right now. And when I look at the NBA as it stands right now, with the current standings, you can make a case for Boston winning it all. You can make a case for Milwaukee winning it all. I say you can make a case for Philly winning it all, Denver winning it all. Memphis has kind of fallen down here a little bit. They're just 2-8 in their last 10. They're still holding on to second place in the West. Sacramento is your third seed. I wouldn't pick Sacramento to win it all. I wouldn't pick Memphis to win it all. Maybe the Clippers, just because they've got Kawhi and Paul George, and once the playoff starts, they can kind of turn it around. Maybe does Dallas go up there now with Kyrie and Luka? But I see just a handful of teams right now that I can make I feel like a strong case to win the NBA championship. And we're only talking about maybe 4, maybe 5. So I mean, how much does the Bucks actually have to do to make a improvement on their roster, if you know what I mean. If they do anything, I still feel like it's just going to be for a role player coming off the bench. A PJ Tucker type of move. Whether that's Jay Crowder, whether that's somebody else, we'll see. I feel like there's other teams that feel like they need to make some moves to catch up to teams like the Bucks. You can put the Nets in that category now. You know, Cleveland's got Donovan Mitchell, who's playing like an MVP this year too. Miami's currently the 6th seed. Then you got, you know, that foursome of the Knicks, Atlanta, Chicago, Washington in the play-in games. Indiana and Toronto just on the outside. But, you know, outside of Boston and maybe Philly, I think you've got a handful of teams there that feel like they need to make the moves to catch up to a team like Milwaukee or Boston or Philadelphia. Same with like Denver. So that's where I feel like, is it going to be just maybe a little too expensive? Or do the Bucks have enough assets to be able to make a move? Because there's going to be so many teams, I feel like, that are chasing the Bucks. They're trying to get these players to maybe try to catch up to the Bucks, or if they feel like, hey, we got to play this team in the playoffs. Right now, our roster, we don't know if we can beat them. But if we make these moves, then we feel like we've put ourselves in a better chance to beat them. The Bucks make a move. If it's for a guy like Crowder or somebody coming off the bench, depending on who they give up. So let's say it's a Jordan Nora and George Hill package. Okay. I'd be okay with it. If they don't make a move, okay. I'd be okay with it. I think they got a good enough team right now. And I think the biggest factor in this whole thing, whether the Bucks are going to win a championship or not, is a factor that we can't control. And that's health. If Giannis isn't healthy, they ain't going anywhere. If Middleton's not healthy, we saw what happened last year. You can make the case they probably would have beaten Boston in the playoffs if Middleton was playing. They went to 7 games without him. Drew Holiday, same thing. They need him. So the biggest thing for the Bucks, in my opinion, to win another championship this year is all going to be on health. The health of this team once they're in the postseason and throughout the postseason. They're missing one of their top guys. They ain't going anywhere. I mean, they'll go somewhere, but they won't go far. And maybe the Bucks are just going to kind of target the buyout market. Those veterans that get bought out from their current teams with their current contracts. And then Bucks pick up one of those veterans, kind of chasing a championship. We've seen the Bucks do that with a couple players. Remember Marvin Williams from a few years ago. Paul Gasol was one of those two. Some of the names that are kind of being thrown out there is a John Wall. Hey, maybe Jay Crowder is a buyout option. Serge Ibaka, maybe if the Bucks can't find a trade partner for him, is he, you know, a guy that gets released and then the Bucks can bring in somebody from that market? I mean, it's a little bit more difficult to forecast at this point, but that might be where the Bucks actually do bring in a player or two. And I feel like if they do package a deal with that includes George Hill and Jordan Nora and bring in one player, they're going to have a roster spot open. Then they'll probably be active in that buyout market too. But that'll be a thing for after the trade deadline. I would say it's pretty close to 50-50, maybe 55, saying you'd like the Bucks to make a deal, but mostly just for a reserve player. Just kind of summing up all the text that we're getting. But it looks to be about, 55% say you'd like a trade, but bringing in a bench role player. All right, we got to take a break. It'll be our final break here for this morning. So a couple more questions. The questions I should say that we threw out to you this morning. One, we just got done talking about again. Do you want the Bucks to make a move by Thursday? Do you think they need to make a move by Thursday, or do you think they're good enough to get it done, win the whole thing without making a move? Second, does it matter to you if the Packers trade, if they were to trade Aaron Rodgers? Does it matter to you if they were to trade him to a team that the Packers face this year? Or is it you don't care, you just want the best deal possible? We'll go over some of those answers again coming up as we wrap up things, and plus hit on some other things that we may have missed. Hey, Packers might have dodged a bullet in terms of the Vikings hiring a pretty darn solid defensive coordinator. We'll tell you about that after the break. All right, wrapping things up here. Want to start over your Super Bowl picks? Let me know. Hit me up on Twitter or Facebook, and then we'll put it up on the big board here in the studio. We're starting to put the tallies up there. We'll see where the Valley kind of is leading towards in their Super Bowl predictions. Eagles, Chiefs. Who you got? Who you picking? If you're ready to make a pick, again, you can hit me up on Twitter or Facebook. Okay. All right. Some other stuff here. E.G. Evero, the defense for the Broncos this past year. Now, if you remember a couple years ago, he was a finalist for the Packers defensive coordinator job, but he's not staying with Denver. Sean Payton, not stay, or I guess it sounds like Ejiro wanted a fresh start somewhere. It seemed like at first that the favorite was going to be the Vikings because Kevin O'Kine together in the Rams organization, but he's actually going to Carolina and will be the defensive coordinator for Frank Reich. That's a big hire for Frank Reich in Carolina over there. So now he's going to be the defensive coordinator for the Vikings. Maybe Brian Flores. Brian Flores, though, is also a finalist for the Arizona Cardinals head coaching job. He's been listed finalist. Arizona's getting closer. It sounds like they've got their list down to 3, and they've apparently already finalists or other candidates that if they are a finalist or not. But maybe getting a little closer. Colts have no freaking idea where they're at with their head coaching one. So, what else? Obviously, we talked a little bit about the Kyrie Irving trade, kind of maybe opening up the dominoes to find on Thursday for the NBA. Kyrie going to the Dallas Mavericks. Will it be other moves made before Thursday? We shall see. Seems like 50-50, about 50-50 in terms of the flag football bubble games. You know, I kind of asked people if you did watch it, what were your thoughts? It was about 50-50. Couple of people said that it was better than what they thought. They enjoyed the flag football part because, let's be real, it was flag football to begin with. They enjoyed some of the competitions. Another one said it was enjoyable because of the Manning brothers. Others just said it's not real football, so I'm not into it. All right, that's fine. I didn't watch it, so I'm curious to kind of get other people's responses out there. What else? We talked Badger Hoops falling to Northwestern again yesterday, 54-52. Talked a lot of Bucks here this morning. And also Aaron Rodgers and his partner winning the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. So Rodgers gets a championship in 2023 there. A lot of the talk, though, it felt like it was not so much on Rodgers and golf and winning the Pebble Beach, but it was about the Raiders and could Rodgers be going to the Raiders now? Kind of started off with, what was it? I think a fan recorded this, said that Rodgers, hey Rodgers, Devontae misses you or something like that, or he wants you as a neighbor or something like that, and Rodgers chimed back saying, tell him to buy me a house. He's got all the money. But then Rodgers in one of the post-round interviews said that a lot of Raider fans out there, telling him to come to the Raiders, saying Devontae misses him and that such. And he said the majority have been Raiders fans, which, I mean, let's be real here too. Look at where Pebble Beach was played. Look at the vicinity of where fans are going to be from. West Coast teams, right? So not that big of a surprise. But and then Devontae having a little fun with it, on Twitter and in Pro Bowl interviews, said today that, he would tell management that he'd be 100% or that he would be 1,000%. Yeah, let's bring in Aaron. Let's do this, and having a little fun on Twitter, saying, something about how house shopping is fun. Later on, though, yesterday, after it was said and done, he did admit, in one of his interviews that, hey, I'm an all-pro bro type of troller on Twitter. Don't take my tweets too seriously. But he would 100% be on board with Aaron Rodgers coming to the Raiders. And I think it's kind of spiraling out of control here a little bit in terms of, I don't think there's like necessarily, somebody asked me on Twitter, do I think there's like any truth to Rodgers going to the Raiders, or if there's any like smoke to this fire? I think the smoke was generated by fans. And it was kind of, blown out there a little bit more with Devontae having fun on Twitter. Maybe he goes to the Raiders. I don't know if he does. I don't think, this weekend necessarily moved it one way or the other. I mostly generated with fans. And now it's become a talking point. Because the fans were out there on a golf course telling Rodgers to come to my team. So I don't necessarily think that it swayed one or the other. Again, he ended up being traded there. Who knows? But I don't think a golf tournament necessarily changed it one way or the other, or Devontae going out there and saying it one way or the other. What is Devontae supposed to? What do you think he's going to say? His team doesn't have a quarterback right now. Of course. He would say, yeah, I'd love Rodgers to come here. Played with him a long time. Had a lot of success. One of my best friends isn't the quarterback here anymore. So next up, I would love Aaron. What do you say, for crying out loud? It is kind of weird to see a guy who's under contract for a couple of years, and we're talking about, hey, where's he getting traded now? I feel like the narrative has switched a bit to where it feels like people are just assuming now that, hey, if Aaron decides to play, he's going to be playing somewhere else. And really, that, I don't know if that's been kind of, media driven or social media or fan driven. But as soon as Aaron makes a decision whether he wants to play, if he goes to Green, then it's kind of like, okay, Aaron, you want to play. Aaron decides he wants to play. Then he's got to say, like, if he goes to Green Bay and says, hey, I want to play, and I want to play in Green Bay, then it's Green Bay's decision. It's not Aaron Rodgers' decision whether he gets traded or not, unless Aaron demands a trade, I guess. But it's gotten to a point now where I think a lot of people just kind of assume it's retire or playing with a different team. And again, I don't know if that's media driven. I don't know if that's social media driven, fan driven, that sort of thing. And I can't remember another time, and there probably is. I'm blanking off the top of my head. When another athlete we've talked about it in a similar fashion. Brady was a free agent when he went to Tampa Bay. They talked about him, but they talked about where's he going to sign. Not like, is he going to play or get traded? And for what it's worth, I was last night looking up. I'm like, how old was Tom Brady when the Patriots traded Jimmy G to the 49ers? Tom Brady was 40. Okay, so they decided to, go with the Brady train yet still. And a little bit different there because the Patriots were still having success with Tom Brady. But you can say that they're having success for other reasons. I know that thing's been kind of spiraling out on social media too about the defenses and how many defenses Brady's had compared to Rodgers. But I think we'll find a couple there, but we'll see how it all plays out here. But it's just weird how I feel like social media has just kind of changed the narrative of this whole thing. And it's kind of sparking up some, like, Ian Rappaport was on Pat McAfee the other day, and Pat thought it was like breaking news, or he thought it was a big nugget sort of thing, and Ian kind of like, no, I don't really think it is. But Ian made the comment that, if Aaron comes back, if Aaron wants to play and he wants to play in Green Bay, he feels like Green Bay is gonna say, yep, okay, let's do this, run it back. And Pat's like, what big news? That's like breaking news. And I'm like, but I think that's the example of like where this conversation has just been so flipped and it's just been pushed in that one direction. But I think we'll find out within a couple weeks after the Super Bowl, one way or the other. So just hold on tight. All right. Tomorrow then we'll touch on some Badger chat with RJ Cardinal. The heck, man, what's going on again? What to talk like about not only Badger hoops team, but we're going Badger High tomorrow too. We're going to talk some Badger football with him because it sounds like it's not going to be a full-on spring game, but it sounds like in April, Coach Fickle's going to do like a scrimmage, maybe kind of like a Packers family night sort of thing. But they're going to have that. We'll talk to RJ about that. We'll obviously touch a little bit more football stuff with Super Bowl week going on too. Bucs taking on Portland. Again, that's going to be a light game tonight. So 9 o'clock tip off. Game will start about 8:30 here on the radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. So I'm going to stay up late and listen to that game. You can right here on those two radio dials. So hopefully they get another W and maybe we'll have some more trade rumors and all that fun stuff to kind of talk about beforehand. I feel like we're going to see more moves made. I feel like that Kyrie thing's shifted a lot of stuff, and we're going to see a few moves made here or there. Maybe a little bit more in the Western Conference. Now that Kyrie's in the Western Conference, maybe with some Western Conference teams try to, kind of counter that a little bit. But I also feel like the Nets are going to want to do something to pair up KD with somebody. But who knows? All right, enjoy the rest of your day. DP and Dan, they're up next. We'll be back at it again tomorrow morning, just past 6. Get your Super Bowl picks. Right? Hit me up on Twitter at KASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. We'll talk to you all tomorrow, just past 6.